Lawn chairs are so nice. You want us to have a seat? Go ahead. Oh, they're a little bit small, but that's okay. I'll show you how to make them anyway. Okay, this project is a little more advanced, but we can do it. I found the pattern on Pinterest, and I'll put the link in my description of kind of the layout. It's written out. I'm a very visual person, but I did figure it out. So what you're going to need is some wire and some thin ribbon. And I'm going to use my little tiny clothespins to help me out with gluing. I also made myself a pattern. You're going to need a long rectangle and a kind of a pyramid shape. And this will help me out so that it's consistent all the way around. And then you just start bending away. I'm going to use my pattern for reference so that it kind of gets the same size. Especially if you're going to make more than one, which I am going to make at least two. And we'll make them look similar. And that's going to be the armrest, and then that other side, it's about an inch. It's going to be the left and right side, the footing. It'll start to make sense in a minute. Especially when I made the first one. After the second one, it was a little easier. It's just a lot of little fiddling and I found making a pattern, because I did it freehand at first as a practice, and it was all over the place. Using this pattern, even though it's not perfect, it's a little more even. So I do advise doing this. When you're done with all your bending, you should get this little kind of like a pyramid-y piece and a long rectangle. And then I'm going to put a bend on the long rectangle, because this is our chair, so you can kind of see it. And you're going to glue a cross beam right down the middle there, right where kind of your butt sits. And I got some Gorilla Glue, basically. It's a gel. And this will set really quickly and get all over your fingers. Once you got your chair all situated, now we're going to start weaving. This I found was the trickiest part, if there is any tricky part. I think I am glad that I had these tiny little clothespins, because I don't know how I would have been holding this with my fingers, letting it dry, moving on to the next piece. So you're gonna just basically, if you've ever weaved anything, you're gonna glue it around the top. I decided to go with 4 across. I just put a dab of white glue and clothespinned it, let them dry, and we'll start weaving. This glue dries pretty quickly, so once it's done there, I'm going to take my little clothespins off and trim the excess pieces. I left it long on purpose just to make it a lot easier to handle. It's easier to cut after the glue dries. And then we're going to use our other color, or you can do it all one color, whatever your heart desires. I just happen to have these two ribbons handy. I would have probably done it like white and red or something like that if I had a choice. And you just weave it in and out. Pretty easy once you get it going. Again, I left the ribbon pieces extra long on purpose, and you're going to want to make sure all the end pieces are folded over. So I did one side, and then once that was dry so that I'm not tugging on wet glue and making it fall apart, then I did the other side, pulled it tight so that it was a nice tight little weave. Now you're going to continue this process all the way down the chair. It's a little fiddly. Just take your time, watch some YouTube, and just weave away. So how I did it is I did one line, glued the one side. While that one was drying, I did another line, glued the other side. You just kind of get a rhythm going until the whole chair is done. We're getting close, starting to look like something. Again, I am really glad I had these tiny little clothespins, but you probably could do it just as easily with maybe a little paper clip, or just hold it with your fingers for a minute. This glue does dry relatively quick, but you do want it kind of to completely dry before you start tugging it and pulling it tight. And here we go. Once we get these last clothespins off and all trimmed up, you got your little chair piece. And now we're going to start putting the legs on. Now if we measured everything right, this should fit right in there. And if not, you can just kind of bend it a little bit. That's the beauty of working with this wire. It's nice and soft, so you can kind of, it's malleable. And I did do a second one here that I'm working on at the same time. But you're going to find you do this a lot. You're going to do a lot of multitasking. Now I'm going to set, this one's a little bit tricky because you kind of have to hold it in place. There's no clothespins to save you here. But and I had to find which one would fit better on any particular, because once you start putting these all together, they kind of get out of sync there. So once I put it in there, I glued it, held it, and I used the super glue for putting the metal onto the metal, and it stuck just fine. After the glue dries and it completely sticks to your fingers and you pull your fingers out, there you go. You got your chair. At least it's starting to look like one. And all that's left is just to put the little armrests on. To do that, all I did was cut a popsicle stick down to the size I wanted and glued it to the top. And once I get this fiddly little piece to stick for me, you can see I got glue all over the place. That's the only bad thing about using the super glue. And you got yourself a little chair. I probably could do without the little armrest, but it kind of completes the look. I'll definitely be making these again, and not bad for a first time making it. It actually looks like a chair. That's a good thing. And there you go. I even made 2 of them. Not too shabby. No 2 will be exactly alike. And I think the more you make these, if you made a bunch of them, you'd probably get better and better and better at them. But I'm pretty proud of these. These turned out really nice. And again, I'll put the link of the pattern where I found it on Pinterest. I'll put it in the description in case you want to give it a go. Maybe you can read the directions a little better than I did. And hey, if you like this, definitely give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, a subscribe would be awesome. And I love you guys. You guys are great. Thanks so much for watching. And I got so much more in store. I think we have coming up, I will be doing the firehouse. So, well, don't hold me to it, but I'll see you next time regardless in the next video. Bye-bye.